this is Shaz. Today we're going to be doing something a bit different. I do usually try to keep my videos book focused, but anime is such a big part of my life, so I do like to do anime related videos occasionally, which is what this one is. So this is my spring 2023 anime wrap up. I'm just going to be talking about the new anime I watched that came out in spring 2023. I'm going to rank them in order of which ones were my favorites, and then I'm going to talk about like what my top 5 of the year in total looks like so far. So I'm going to start with the shows that are still ongoing. They haven't finished yet. And those ones are going to be included in my seasonal ranking, but not in my yearly ranking. And then I'm going to talk about the shows that have finished. And then I'm going to talk about like what my ranking looks like so far before I conclude with what my plans are for the summer season. So the first anime that I'm going to talk about is Pokemon Horizons. This is the new entry in the Pokemon's franchise. I haven't seen a Pokemon anime in years. The last one I watched was when they were still in the Sinnoh region. But I'd heard that they were retiring Ash at the end of the last season, and I was curious to see like what they were going to do with the new characters. In this one, we follow Riko. She is a girl. She has just moved to Kanto from Paldea to attend a school there. But she has this necklace that she got from her grandmother, and this necklace causes her to be chased by these people, and she is saved by the Rising Vault Tacklers, who were hired by her mum to protect her and to bring her back to Paldea. So she joins up with them. They also meet Roy, who is this boy with this old Pokeball. This old Pokeball, he doesn't think there's anything in this, but during this battle, it ends up opening up and a black Rayquaza, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, comes out, and then it flies away, and so they are on the trail of this black Rayquaza and to solve the mystery behind the pendant and the mystery behind the Pokeball. I've been really enjoying this one so far. The characters are really cute. The Pokemon are so adorable and charming. And I feel like that's the main point in a Pokemon anime. You want to see these cute creatures, and the anime definitely succeeds at that. So I've been enjoying this one so far. I don't know how long I'm going to continue watching it because I know this is going to be like a long anime and I tend to fall off those. But I've been enjoying it so far. I'm going to continue watching it for now. I've been watching it through the official YouTube uploads. If you want to watch the anime, I recommend doing it that way. You won't be getting the English subs, but it is like if you want to test out your Japanese, if you're learning Japanese, you want to test out your skills, this is a good way to do so because it is a children's anime. So they don't tend to use a whole lot of complicated terms. The only thing that's really tripped me up is because I'm used to the English names for all these like attacks and Pokemon. But other than that, it's been really easy to watch. I'd recommend it if you just want to test out your Japanese skills. Next anime I'm going to talk about is The Ancient Magus Bride Season 2, Part 1. So the first part aired this season. The second half isn't going to air until September. So this season is about Chise as she enrolls in a magic school, and Elias is there as a teacher as well. This first half, it really mostly just like introduces questions and mysteries and doesn't solve a whole lot of them. So it's hard to talk about on its own without knowing how everything's going to end up resolved. It also does feel a bit unfocused at points, but like the mysteries that they've introduced are really interesting. I really like the new characters, so I'm enjoying it so far. I'm really looking forward to see like how things go from here. But it's hard to like evaluate it because it really does feel like you're seeing an incomplete story. But I'm looking forward to seeing like what happens. I'm super intrigued by all of the mysteries. Next anime I'm going to talk about is Dead Mount Death Play. This is another anime where the first half aired this season, but the second half isn't going to air until October. Yes, I got it wrong before with Ancient Magus' Bride. The second half isn't going to air until October as well. Dead Mount Death Play follows this necromancer. He is seen as like this bad guy, and he is defeated by this hero who is working with the church. But before he is defeated, he casts a spell on himself so that he will be reincarnated into a different land and have a chance at a peaceful life. He's reincarnated into the body of this teenage boy, Polka, but Polka was just murdered. And so Necromancer has to figure out like how to put out a hit on Polka, and there is a bunch of stuff like about the mysteries of how this world could be connected to the Necromancer's old world, and the Necromancer like teams up with the assassin who killed Polka. So this is based on a manga by the author Narito Ryoko. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but you know, you get that. Who also wrote Baccano and Durarara. Like their series, this one follows a cast of very eccentric characters, and the characters are all pretty interesting. Some of them are more interesting than others. I'm pretty intrigued by the story and by the mysteries. I will say there are some like uncomfortable aspects of it. The assassins like will often like take up her top and you'll see her boobs. There are some info dumps which for some reason take place during lesbian sex scenes. So just be warned about all that. It's not too bad, but for me it just was really distracting, and I can easily see how that would put someone off. Yeah, I found the show super engaging so far. It did kind of end on a disappointing note, but that just makes me more interested into how things are going to go in the second half. I will be watching the second half. I'm definitely looking forward to it. The next anime I'm going to talk about is Hell's Paradise. The first season aired this season, and like after the final episode, a second season was announced, and I'm inclined to treat it as I have with the other shows because it feels so unfinished where it ends. And this show takes place in feudal Japan. There's this island that recently has been discovered that is believed to hold the elixir of immortality, and it's believed to be like this legendary land. In order to obtain this elixir, I think it's the Shogun sends these criminals that have been condemned to death to the island to try to find it, and they are teamed up with these executioners so that if they like step out of line, the executioner will, you know, execute them. So I thought this was really interesting. The island is such a cool setting. It's got all these different mysteries, and it's got this aesthetics that mix like Buddhism with Taoism. It's so interesting. So I got invested into this one super quickly, and it was just super like intriguing and stuff. The characters were also really interesting and charming, and I wanted to know more about them. I did fall off a bit with the last few episodes because there was all this info dumping about this power that they use called Tao. To use this power, they have to like be both weak and strong at the same time. It's like the middle path, and they spend episodes explaining it, and it's such a simple concept that it ended up making it more confusing. And the show definitely ends on an unsatisfying note, which is why I'm glad that we are getting a second season. If it had ended where it was, I would have been really annoyed. But it was still a fun ride overall. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing where the continuation takes the story. I do feel like this is the kind of story that's not going to stick with me, so I almost wish like I had waited. If I'd known there was going to be a second season, I wouldn't have watched this now. I would have waited. But yeah, still fun time. If you're thinking about watching it, maybe wait until the second season comes out, just because it's the kind of story that I can see being a bit forgettable in the long run. But we'll just have to wait and see like what ends up happening with the story and stuff. I'm definitely looking forward to the continuation. The next anime that I've got to talk about is one that is actually finished, and that is Skip and Loafer. This show follows Mitsuki, who grew up in like this remote town, and she moves to Tokyo to attend a high school so that she can become a politician in the future and like help her town. So this like follows her. She's a teenager and her group of friends as they like go through teenage stuff. And it's really sweet. I loved this. It was such a joy every week. The opening itself just gave me so much joy and love. I really enjoyed this. I can't think about it without having a smile on my face. It's so good. It's so precious. My only issue is that like even though it's complete as an anime, the manga is still ongoing, so it doesn't quite deliver quite as satisfying of a resolution as I would have hoped it to. But it makes sense. It's an adaptation of a manga. That's what these things tend to do. I really hope we get a continuation though, because I absolutely loved this. I loved the characters so much. They're so sweet, so precious. I really want to check out the manga. The next anime that I'm going to talk about is Ranking of Kings: Treasure Chest of Courage. This is a side story collection, kind of like a continuation of the first Ranking of Kings, but the side stories. Some of them take place before the first season, others take place during, and the last episode or so take place after. So I ended up having complicated feelings about the first season of the anime. I loved the first half, and the second half was such a letdown, and it ended up like being one of my biggest disappointments. But I wanted to give Treasure Chest of Courage a go to see if it could like reignite that feeling that I had when I watched the first half of the anime, because I really loved that first half, and it didn't. Sadly, it did not. I found myself just bored and distracted throughout most of the stories. There were a couple of highlights, but none of them really came close, and it was annoying too because like Crunchyroll had a glitch while I was watching this where it kept on taking me to episodes of the first season when I clicked on the next episode, and I would be like watching a few minutes before I'd be like, wait a minute, this isn't right. And it just made me remember how like good those early episodes were. So So this was just really disappointing. There were a couple stories that I liked. I liked the story about Bojji and Daida's childhood. I thought that was really sweet. It was so bittersweet actually, because like they were acting so nice towards each other, and then you remembered how like twisted their relationship ended up becoming. So, but yeah, I really liked that story. I also like the story about Kage's childhood. That's always super sweet to see him and his mum. It always gives me feels. I mostly like the story about Bojji's departure from the kingdom as before he goes to find Kage at the end of the first season. But then Miranda showed up and I remembered why I had complicated feelings about this series. And then I do want to mention the last episode of the season takes place as like the first episode of the next season, kind of. So it like introduces what the new conflicts are kind of will be like in the in a continuation. And I was surprised by how invested I was in it. I found it pretty interesting, and it kind of made me feel like, oh, you know, maybe I would watch a continuation if one was announced. And a movie was announced, so I probably will end up watching it because I was surprised by how invested I was. But overall, I just kind of, it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be, but it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be, and I ended up just feeling kind of meh about it overall. The next anime I'm going to talk about is Yuri Is My Job. This story follows Hime, who is a girl who like has mastered her facade, like she acts all like cute, but she just really wants love. She loves to be adored by others. She loves to be seen as cute, so she always acts in a way that's going to get people to love her. She has dreams of marrying into a rich family so that she can be set for life. She's an icon, and she bumps into this girl accidentally, and this girl is like, you broke my wrist. And she breaks this girl's wrist, and then she is brought, and then because of this, she is guilt tripped into working for the girls' cafe, which is this cafe that has this theme where like all of the waitresses act as though they are students of this all-girls Christian school, and there's like Yuri subtext as the girls like act together. I really enjoyed this. I've read the manga before the anime started. I'd read the first 4 volumes, and then I enjoyed the anime so much that it motivated me to read more of the manga, and now I'm all caught up. I've read all 12 volumes. And it's the kind of series that is very melodramatic, but if you're invested into the melodrama, it is so interesting and engaging. The characters are so messy, and it's really entertaining. It's like watching a soap opera, you know. So if that like appeals to you, definitely watch this. If you like messy lesbians, watch this. I thought the anime was a really good adaptation. It was a bit stiff at some points. The animation wasn't always at its best, and there were some male-gazy shots, but I really enjoyed it. The voice acting was perfect, and I was like, even though I knew how this drama would get resolved, I was still super invested in it. So I think it did a really good job of capturing what makes the manga really good. So definitely watch it if it sounds like it would appeal to you. I hope we get a continuation, because volumes 5 to 8 are probably my favorite volumes in the series, so I'd love to see them adapted. Finally, I'm going to talk about Mobile Suit Gundam Witch from Mercury Part 2. So the first half of this aired at the end of last year, and the second half just finished airing. I love this. I liked the first half a lot, but I was worried about how things were going to turn out for our leads. But I loved this. Each week it was so much fun to watch. I was so invested. It's been a long time. It felt like it'd been a long time since I was this invested in a show that like after I watched it, I would go on to Twitter and I would like look at the theories and the reactions and the new fan art. And it's been a long time since I've been so invested that I've done that. So yeah, I was super into this. It was probably my favorite thing of the season. There were some plot points that felt like they could have been wrapped up better, but I really enjoyed the ending. I was so satisfied with how everything was resolved that I can't be mad. I loved this so much. I highly recommend it. If you want a sapphic space opera, watch this. Now I'm going to talk about how I would rank the shows this season. So in first place is The Witch from Mercury, and in second place is Skip and Loafer. I was a bit conflicted as to which one I wanted to put first. I was far more satisfied with how The Witch from Mercury ended than I was satisfied with the way that Skip and Loafer ended. Which makes sense because Skip and Loafer is an adaptation, whereas The Witch from Mercury is an original anime. So it had more freedom than Skip and Loafer did to choose its ending. But like, like I finished Skip and Loafer wanting to pick up the manga, and I finished The The Witch from Mercury wanting to go back and watch the show from the beginning. So at the end of the day, it gets first place spot. In third place is Yuri Is My Job. Again, I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a really good adaptation of a manga that I was already a fan of, and I really hope we get more. In fourth and fifth place is Hell's Paradise and The Ancient Magus Bride Season 2. These were a bit hard to place as well, but I was more interested in Hell's Paradise, and I felt like it gave us more answers to the mystery than The Ancient Magus Bride did. But like, I think when the second half of Ancient Magus Bride aired, it'll probably end up overtaking Hell's Paradise for the year as a whole. Sixth place, I put Pokemon Horizons, and in seventh place is Dead Mount Death Play. I hate saying that name. The main reason for this ranking is just that Pokemon Horizons never made me feel uncomfortable. It was just a joy to watch each week. Dead Mount Death Play was also fun, but it did make me uncomfortable at some points and just wasn't as much of a delight as Pokemon Horizons. And of course, in last place, if it's a ranking of King's Treasure Chest of Courage, yeah, like, I don't have any explanation for this. It was just fine. I didn't find it as enjoyable as any of the other shows I watched this season. So that's how I'd rank things for spring 2023. My top 5 of the year so far. So obviously in first place is Witcher from Mercury, and in second place is Skip and Lothar. In third place is The Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady. This aired at the start of the year and I really liked it. I was already a fan of the light novels, and I feel like the anime did a good job of conveying what makes the series stand out. So I really enjoyed it, and I definitely recommend it if you're looking for something sapphic to watch. Fourth place is Yuri Is My Job, and fifth place is Buddy Daddies. This one, I enjoyed half of it and didn't enjoy the other part. Like, because half of it is this found family and the other half is this, like, assassin drama. The found family aspects I absolutely loved, but the assassin drama was so boring. So I reckon Yuri Is My Job and Buddy Daddies will probably not be in my top 5 at the end of the year. But I feel like Witcher from Mercury and Skip and Lothar are definitely going to stay in there. I wouldn't be surprised if they stayed in my top 2. Magical Revolution could go either way. I could see it staying, but I could also see myself putting something else in that place. So yeah, that's how I'd rank everything. I feel like this was a really strong anime season. There were some shows that I started and didn't finish because I had issues with them. But overall, I really enjoyed what I watched this season, and it helped me like get in the anime watching mood. I think that's it for this video. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, whatever. If you have any recommendations for shows that I missed the past season, feel free to pop that in the comments below. I will see you next time.